Welcome to the Life Design Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Borland, and today we're going to be talking a bit about limiting beliefs, what they are, where they came from, and what we can do to overcome them. Because the reality is, limiting beliefs, they're just stories that we tell ourselves. And since we're the author, we can change them. So I'll be encouraging you to recognize those beliefs and to challenge them with 3 simple questions. Number 1, is this belief really true? Number 2, what's the evidence to support this belief today and into my future? And number 3, what's possible if I choose to replace this limiting belief with something that's more empowering to serve me in the future that I want for myself? So let's dive right in. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe now so you can join us on every episode. We truly appreciate it. And be sure to engage in the comments section of your favorite platform for your chance to be invited as a guest on one of our episodes. So, what exactly are limiting beliefs and where do they come from? Well, simply put, limiting beliefs are nothing more than thoughts that we have, stories that we tell ourselves that we're not good enough, or maybe we're not smart enough, we're not worthy, we don't have what it takes to achieve that goal or to get to that place in life that we want to go, or whatever the subject is, right? We're not good enough to be that healthy, whatever it may be for you. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But as I said earlier, the good news is we're the author of these stories at this point. We'll explain where they came from. We weren't the original author, but we get to write our own story every single day, literally every moment. But we'll just say every day that we wake up, we tell the story. And if we don't like the story or the results of that story, we're the author. We get to change it. So as I said, the beliefs themselves, they're just thoughts or thoughts or convictions even, that we hold as being true for some reason, right? And they stop us from moving forward, from progressing in ways that we want to, from reaching potential in certain areas of our lives or our business or our relationships or whatever that may be. And again, it's very individual. And these beliefs, they often originate, we'll put it this way, they originate always from a variety of sources. It's not just one place, okay? Now, oftentimes, that could be maybe past experiences. Could be things that you dealt with as a child, as a kid, teenager, all the way up to adult years. But a lot of the time we bring them, believe it or not, some of them, from our childhood, right? We all know this. 100,000 times we probably hear the word no. You're not old enough. You're not strong enough. You don't know what you're doing. You're too young. We hear all these things. And for the most part, as we grow, we realize, just through normal learning, that those truths back then are no longer true today. And some of the things that are still true today, like as a teenager, we recognize they won't be true in a few years. But there are some things within our minds, within our spirit, within our subconscious or even our unconscious minds. There's times where these beliefs and these convictions, they get locked in. And even though we try to move beyond them, because we haven't taken the time to recognize them and to upgrade them, they stay with us. And so all those times that your father or your mother told you you weren't good enough, you weren't smart enough, you can't be more successful than they are. And it doesn't have to be your parents, believe me. The best of parents, they make some mistakes. The worst of parents, they do some things right. It could be aunts, uncles, friends, neighborhood people, teachers, especially in today's world. There's a lot of challenges going on with what kids are being taught, limiting beliefs that sometimes people think are expanding this kid's, consciousness, their reality, when in reality, they're limiting them because we teach kids sometimes very narrow-minded beliefs or possibly, large open-ended beliefs that result in a very narrow-minded mindset or perspective for moving forward, which without question turns it into a limiting belief. Okay? What is another way or another place that these beliefs come from? Well, they're family and social conditioning. And there's a lot of times that certain values are based on values, beliefs, belief systems, attitudes of our family or our social circles, be it the community, the neighborhood we live in, the schools we go to, the religions, or the fact that we don't have religions that we participate in. All of these things create beliefs and convictions within us, a lot of which are limiting to us. A lot of the time, the belief itself should maybe offer more opportunity, should offer certain benefits. However, the way we perceive it, the way we store it, the things that we connect to it, other beliefs that we pair with it, result in limiting us in some way, shape, or form as we grow older, or what I call grow forward in life. The third area or place that these beliefs can often come from media, from cultural influences, things like that. These things, believe it or not, I hear this a lot. Oh, I don't believe what I see on TV, what I read on the internet, but they influence us. They absolutely influence us. This is scientifically proven. If you're in sales, you know for a fact that the things that people hear cause them to think certain things, influence them to have certain beliefs, and it can be, it's like putting the pieces of a puzzle together. If you put a piece over here and a piece over here and a piece over here, eventually it creates a picture in the mind of all of us. And when they put enough of those pieces in place, that's the picture we wind up seeing. Because we don't know not to allow that piece to remain in our mind, within our belief system, within what we allow as opposed to disallow to influence us. And especially in today's world where social media and media in general, mainstream and social media combined, we live off of it. It's such an influential part of our lives. It's impossible, if you are engaged in media, in your culture, you're influenced by it. And this is where a lot of the beliefs and the thoughts that we have and the belief systems and structures that we use to make our decisions, to run our lives, to create our perspectives from. These are the three primary areas where it comes from. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to actually encourage you to challenge these beliefs. And if I'm going to be completely upfront with you on it, I want to challenge you to challenge the majority of your beliefs. I'm going to encourage you to do that, to challenge each of your beliefs, especially when you come up against a different belief, a contradictory belief. Or, maybe even more important, typically we hang out with people who think like us, who believe like us. So if everyone around you is believing the same thing and telling the same story, this is where the old adage, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. That's not always the case anymore. If everyone else around you is believing the same things and saying the same things and doing the same things, I would almost encourage you to challenge those beliefs even more. And here's why. Because in doing so, one of two things is going to happen. You're going to find out you've only been listening to one side of the story, and not everything you're hearing is factual. Or you're going to realize, hey, I have been very balanced. I have been gathering the information from all perspectives. And I have come to the beliefs that here and now I believe still serve me as I move forward in the direction that I want to go, in the steps that I want to take, and to the outcome that I truly want as I move forward. Okay? How do we challenge these? So let's look at some tips. We'll try to keep it to 3 specific tips on how do we actually challenge these. How do we look at our beliefs and make sure that the ones that we are choosing for ourselves, for our own lives, for our futures, because today's thoughts, today's beliefs, today's actions create tomorrow's reality for us, tomorrow's, the future. So number 1 is by actually identifying those limiting beliefs. So this is something that I personally work with a lot of clients on, and the majority of everybody I hear out in the marketplace, the leaders, the thought leaders, mentors, coaches, trainers, we're sharing very similar messages, and we're challenging each other's messages very often. I make it a point to do that. That's why I'm having this podcast today. That's the whole point of this conversation, is I'm challenging my own beliefs at this point in my life. And this is what's causing me to have these questions. And this is where the whole idea of this podcast come from. Now, I went into, 15 different questions, but I wanted to narrow them down to about 3 that are simple. So number 1, again, identify those limiting beliefs. We need to look at the things, the overall mindset. You guys know this podcast is based on mindset and the relationships that we carry with ourselves, with our creator, with each other, and identifying the beliefs and the belief systems that we use on a daily basis is key. So the first step to challenging these limiting beliefs is recognizing them, actually identifying what are they. Pay attention to our thoughts. Sounds kind of funny sometimes, but to actually pay attention to what we're thinking. You may have seen this on some of my videos in the past. What in the world was I thinking? Right? If you have any of my books, well, one of them that's about to be re-released here in a couple of days from the date I'm recording this. It'll be released here in November, so November 10th, Improve Your Thoughts, Improve Your Life. And another one that will be released probably in December, which is Rewire Your Mind. And it talks about, pay attention to our thoughts. Ask yourself, what in the world am I thinking? Right? We say that kind of, in jest sometimes, but it's true. We should be asking ourselves this constantly, right? Are the thoughts that I'm thinking serving me? Are they holding me back, or are they moving me in the direction that I actually want for my life? Right? If I want better income, I can't think I don't deserve more money. if I want a better relationship, whether that means I'm already in one and I want to improve it, or I'm not in one and I want one, I want a really good relationship, whatever the case may be, we can't have a belief that we're not worthy of that. We can't have a belief that those things don't exist for us, right? So reflect on how each of your beliefs is actually impacting your life. I used to get very angry driving in LA traffic. Okay? You may have heard me say that before. I guarantee you'll hear me share that again, because when I finally took my own advice, so to speak, and I really looked at my perspectives when I was driving, and this was 8 or 9 years ago, 9 or 10 years ago actually, I realized I have no idea what's going on in the lives and minds of the people that I'm getting mad at. They could be late for work at no fault of their own. Could have been a mistake. They could have not even realized I was there. They cut me off. They could be on the way to a hospital. They could have just broke up with, a bad relationship or been in a fight with their kids or their parents or, their significant other. I have no idea what's going on. So I got to the point where I became grateful that, hey, I'm glad I just didn't get in an accident. Or I would, say a quick prayer for them. I don't know what's going on in their life, God, but just, give them a little bit of peace. Give them some awareness so they're realizing that they're cutting people off. And quite frankly, there were times some people blatantly made it obvious they were just being jerks. I mean, I'm just going to tell it like it is. Hey, I've been there. When I was young, I was not the most pleasant person to drive near. I wanted to get where I was going, and it didn't matter that other people were around. And we go through stages in life like that. Where was my thinking at that point? What was my belief system that allowed me to, quite frankly, just be disrespectful to the other people on the highway with me? I had some bad thoughts in my mind. And ironically, I was a coach. I was coaching people on having a better mindset, being more mindful, being more self-aware, more self-responsible. And yet, I was not at the time adhering to that practice myself. So it happens. We're all human, right? It's part of what we deal with. So if you're not identifying those things, if you're not acknowledging them, how are you going to work on them? The second thing, or the second question to ask yourself is, let's say once you've identified that limiting belief, is to ask yourself, are these genuinely true in my life today? Or when I picked up that belief, where did it come from? Oh, I think it came from here. And I've used this many times. You'll hear this a lot. If you listen a lot, podcasts or videos or what have you. When we're young, we're told not to speak to strangers. And that's a pretty smart idea for 99% of the time, 95% of the time as a kid. Don't go out and talk to strangers, particularly adults, right? But as you become an adult, should you not talk to strangers? I wouldn't have a business. You wouldn't hear my voice right now. It was true back then. It became less and less true as I advanced in age. As a teenager, I needed to be willing to talk to a big portion of adults. As an adult, I need to be willing to talk to just about any adult, regardless. It's my career. It's what I do for a living. It's my passion to help people. They're all strangers until they're not strangers, right? Until I communicate. So my point in that story is there are times where something is true when you picked up that belief. And then it becomes untrue later on. It could be a day later, a month, a year, 10 years, or longer. But are you asking yourself, is this true? And this leads me straight into number 3, and that is replacing these beliefs with something that's more empowering. Now, let me be clear on the words that I just used. I did not say eliminate the misbelief, the limiting belief. Okay, we do want to do that. But we have to replace them. Let me explain why. When you eliminate something, beliefs, actions, hobbies, habits from your life, you create a void. Okay, one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to slide right back to the previous belief, thoughts, habits, or if you don't intentionally replace them with something empowering to you, then your environment, your experiences, and other beliefs and experiences from the past, most likely, sometimes it will be from the current, like media, will replace that. If you don't do it intentionally, there's no way to guarantee that what takes the place of that limiting, disempowering belief will actually move you forward. It could be an even worse belief, something that holds you back even more, or at a stronger level, or in different areas. So you think, hey, I'm moving forward over here. But the belief that you took on unaware actually slows you down in a different area of life. So this is not uncommon. This is not fluff. This is not, woo-woo, as some people like to call it. This happens to us every single day, right? How many times have you heard somebody say something, or you saw something on the news, and you're all hot to trot about it, and you go to talk to a friend or a colleague or somebody about it, and you're like, did you hear this? And I'm not talking about gossip. I'm talking legit information that you think is important, that sounds and feels important, and you go to share that with someone, and they say, whoa, where did you get that? And through a little bit of dialogue and a little bit of research, you come to find out, oh my God, I misunderstood that, or I put these two pieces of information together in the wrong way, or wrong timing, or could be 100 different reasons that you came to this conclusion that was absolutely inaccurate or absolutely disempowering. Maybe it's accurate, but the fact that you're holding on to it as something you're going to use to make decisions holds you back. It limits you. Sometimes even worse. So it's important. Just ask yourself, once it's identified, what am I going to replace this with? This isn't doing me any good anymore. What can I intentionally replace this with? Right? If that wasn't good enough, what is? And replace that belief, that hobby, that habit, that thought. Okay, we're primarily talking right now about thoughts and beliefs. Replace it with something that moves you forward in life, that you can pay forward into other people's lives and elevate everyone a little bit. Then once you've done that, you want to create some repetition. Repeat them. Share them with other people. Hey, I just figured this out. I just found this out. Share this with encouraging people. Don't go to somebody that's going to beat you over the head and say, no, you're supposed to keep thinking like me. If you believe you need to keep those people in your life that beat you down with, don't grow, don't evolve, don't, people say, wow, you've changed. Yeah, no kidding. We're supposed to, right? You've probably seen that, on social media. I see that a lot. Hey, you've changed. We're supposed to. It's true. Guess what? There's a belief you can lock in forever we're supposed to change. We're supposed to evolve. We're supposed to get better. If you're still the same in the majority of areas as you were 10 years ago, you've fallen behind. A lot of things have changed. There's some evolution that should be occurring, actually on a daily basis. So just remember that these beliefs that we have, these things that hold us back in life, we were taught them typically, or we compiled information and we put this information together, and it could have been the perfect belief for us at the moment. But we're in a new moment, and it just might be a time for a new belief on that, for a new thoughts and a new thought process. So take some time, take some practice, but it's always worth it. So be patient. Don't beat up on yourself. Be patient and keep working at it and identifying things that, beliefs that you have, and challenge them. Hey, is this right? Again, if somebody challenges you on it, ask yourself. Just say, well, I believe it is. Let me do some more research, whatever, and check it out. If everyone's agreeing with you, stop and think for a minute. There's a lot of people thinking some pretty crazy stuff these days. Check yourself. Don't leave it up to them. You do it. Be personally responsible, right? Replace those limiting beliefs with something that fosters a more positive and empowering mindset, emotional, your emotional regulation, your outlook, your view on moving forward in life, and how you interact with other people. So I hope this podcast gave you some things to think about. Please, 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 if you haven't, subscribe and engage. Share in the comments what spoke most to you from today's podcast. If you disagree with something, share it in the comments. You all know this. Just be respectful. That's all I ask. If not, you'll get blocked. This isn't about tearing people down. It's about challenging beliefs, doing it respectfully, building a community, and people that can help raise each other up, that can be there to support each other. So subscribe, join, whatever platform you're watching on, whatever they want to call it. Subscribe, participate in every episode with us. Tell us what you like, tell us what you don't like. And again, those who are the most active and have the most interesting perspectives and get some other listeners' feedback, we're going to build up to where we're asking, I'd say, at least one or two listeners, people who engage, to be guests on the podcast each month. And that will definitely grow to a point where it's at least one person a week. I want to engage with the listeners. Will we be bringing on lots of, experts in different fields, and just people that are within my sphere and that I come across that have unique information and viewpoints and perspectives, and of course we will. But you're the audience. You're the one that make this all possible. Share with your friends. Maybe 2 or 3 of you can come on as guests at the same time, and we can really have a powerful conversation. I'm totally open to that. That is what this podcast is for. So sign up, engage, and subscribe, hit the bells, whatever it is you do on your platform, and let's carry these conversations forward. I definitely look forward to speaking more with y'all. If you haven't checked out our Monday, Mental Health Monday episodes, check those out. Keep listening. If you're listening to this in, October, November of 2023, it's a pretty new podcast. If not, then you're listening to an older episode, and that's awesome. We love it. But engage with us. Tell us what you want to hear about. Tell us what's important to you in life, and let's have a conversation about it. So I look forward to speaking with you soon. I look forward to serving you guys for a long time to come. And until then, live awesome and enjoy your journey.